Is it good with you to record so I can post it later on for everybody to listen to?
Yes, yeah, you want to record it? Yes, fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so um,
Yes.
welcome to Untold Stories. Thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. We're very excited about this project. So happy to have you. So to get started, could you give me a little bit of background on your experience as an immigrant and coming to the United States?
Yes. So since I was a child, I was always dreaming of living somewhere else out of Iraq because of the war. The war never ended. I was born in 1978. 80s we had a war with Iran for 8 years. In the 90s, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and there was another war. And then we have international sanctions on Iraq. It was a tough time from 1991 to 2003. After 2003 until today, we have war never stopped. So since I was a child, I was always dreaming of leaving Iraq and somewhere else. So I was hoping to migrate to France, but that didn't happen. I came to the United States, which is great also. Coming to the United States, it's a great opportunity because it's a completely different experience. It's not easy to adjust it because somebody who's raised in a war zone, in a war area, is going to be different from somebody who had a peaceful, joyful childhood, lovely childhood. It's going to be different. It's not going to be the same experience. So that's why, uh, for some reason, since I am in the United States, I always say that I got to be prepared. Something may happen. This is just how immigrants think, or at least me. I would say I have to save some money. I have to put some money aside. I have to have some food because something may happen, something unpredictable may happen, because that's how people are during who are like raised in wartime or witnessed war uh, periods. So I personally had a goal. I said I have to advance my education. I have to study. I have to go to college. I have to educate myself. And that's what I did. I went to college and obtained master's degree in literature. And then I have worked, that degree helped me to work with the Army as a translator, as a United States citizen, DoD contractor. So today I'm a citizen and I feel I think that, I feel that I'm a proud citizen because I have seen the difference between the Iraqi passport and the American passport. When I had Iraqi passport, I went to France and they took me to investigate me why I'm visiting France and how long I'm going to stay there and who I'm going to see and all these questions. When I went to France with the American passport, they didn't ask me any question. They just smiled, stamped the passport, and let me go. So it's a huge difference. When you are American citizen, you travel the world, you are, treated differently from when you are an Iraqi citizen holding Iraqi passport. Plus, United States people can be themselves. You don't have to, for example, you don't have to make some like the community happy so you will stay safe. You can be yourself, live your life, as long as it's not contradicting with the laws. But you can be yourself. You can work. You can study. You can invest. You can uh, achieve your goals. It's not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. You can achieve any goal you want, any legal goal you want in the United States, and that's great.
Mhm. Was there anything about when you came to the States that you found to be unexpected that like surprised you about coming here?
Yes, yeah. Like when I first came here, like I arrived to United States November 3rd, 2008, and that was the day when Barack Obama was elected to become the president of the United States. So I arrived on the 3rd of November to JF Kennedy Airport, and we spent the night in New York. Then we went to South Carolina the next day. So it was the first time an African American become a president of the United States. Some were happy, some looked not happy, but it was a good experience because you can tell, like, in this country, nothing is impossible. It's not easy. It needs a lot of work. And then the good thing, for the first time, uh, it was a different society. Like for me, people are close to each other. They contact each other every day. It's like busy. When with the United States, like when I was in Columbia, South Carolina, you go out and you just see houses and cars. You don't see people walking. You don't see people that much. So it was a new experience. And then, but you asked me about difficulties. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, my internet. Yes, that is
Yes.
what. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very difficult when I first arrived here, not to United States. It was very difficult for me to find a job. So I spent 5 months to be able to find a job in a retail store. I was hoping to find a job in education, like in teaching, but I failed. I applied, and uh, they were asking for teaching certificate, and I didn't have a good advisor. Like if I came to Lincoln, Nebraska, it would be much easier because I could easily contact department that would advise me what to do and how to become a teacher, certified teacher. But in Nebraska, it was very difficult, and I couldn't, like, all what I did, I was able to become a substitute teacher, but not a certified teacher. So that's why, and same thing for my wife. My wife had struggled with finding, she wasn't able to find a job at all. So she started GED, and then she went, like, she started her GED, she obtained her GED in South Carolina, but she obtained her associate degree in Lincoln. So Lincoln was much easier, but in Nebraska, in Columbia, it was very difficult. We couldn't do much. We spent 4 years, and I wasn't able to find a good job, or at least get into master's program. But it was much easier here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was able to find part-time jobs. I worked as a culture advisor, but I had to travel to other states. But that job ended in end of 2011. So the difficulties was to find a job. It was difficult, very difficult in South Carolina.
What are things you think about like the immigrant experience that like as Americans we wouldn't necessarily or like think of as like obstacles that immigrants have to go through when they come to the States?
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. Actually, that's a great question. When immigrants, there's immigrants and there are refugees. So there's difference between immigrants and refugees. So uh, do you ask about immigrants or should I talk about refugees? Which one you prefer?
I think refugees.
Refugees. So when refugees come to the United States, they're mostly coming from war areas like Iraq, Yemen, Somalia, Afghanistan. So mostly like areas that witnessed war. And those people, I'm talking about like adults. I'm not talking about young children. Young children much easier, but with adults, they have already seen a lot of, uh, witnessed a lot of war, tragedies. So when they come here, the first thing they think of is that how to corrupt the system and how they do that. So I have seen a lot of cases like this. So you will see people like adults who are still in their 50s or end of 40s, and they can work. They have a good health, but they are tired. They don't want to work. So what they do, they want to be uh, classified, or they want to be disabled so they can receive money from the government without working. And I have seen that in many cases, and I was wondering why they do that. But that's how they are. They are tired. They are not willing to work anymore. They just want to stay and stay like in a safe place. They don't want to engage in people. Some of them are like that. Others, they have a goal. They say, no, okay, since God gave us this opportunity, United States welcomed us, then I need to work and make money and become a rich. So they work, and within maybe a decade or two, they will be rich people, like they will have achieved something. They may have a car dealership, they may have any other business, they may have a restaurant, they may have a retail store, because they want to become rich, they want to make money. And then other would say, no, like I want to study. I want to, for example, study medicine, study pharmacy, become a teacher, become an engineer. I want to study something. So he would uh, go with education and find a job within the education field. So I can categorize people to like three these things. Like either they are tired, they don't want to work, they just want to live in peace, or they want to make money, or they want to study. Yes.
Gotcha. You mentioned your experience in South Carolina being different than your experience in Lincoln. How would you describe your experience in Lincoln, both like through the university system and with just like the general like Lincoln population?
Yes. So in South Carolina, it's a beautiful state actually, because you can see the four seasons. The weather is nice. The winter is not very tough, like here. But job-wise was difficult for me, at least. Like maybe other people are different. Everybody has a different experience. But for me, I wasn't able to find a permanent job. All the job that I did was a part-time job. So I was a substitute teacher, and then I stopped. And then I was a culture advisor, but I had to travel a lot and leave my family alone. So that was not a good thing. So I decided to move out of that state. And I was looking for another state. And then I came to Nebraska. In Nebraska, it is a cold state. Winter stuff, it's changing a lot. It's colder than it's cold. And there's a lot of seasonal allergies, but they have programs that help refugees to start with. They have something to start. They have a place where they help you with your resume, to build your resume, and then contact jobs and apply for jobs. So that's a great thing. And then if somebody doesn't speak English, they have programs, beginner levels for English. They have computer. They have also forklift. So it's much easier. Plus, there's an Iraqi population here. There's a Kurdish population here, and so it was much easier here. I don't know if that's answer your question, or I still need to give you more details.
No, that answers my question wonderfully. Um, oh gosh, I had a thought. Um, how do I want to phrase this? How can people who like in Lincoln, where we do have like an Iraqi population and Kurdish population, how can people who don't understand those circumstances of like coming from another country to the United States, how can we be like allies and helpful to those people, like when we interact with them, whether that's like at school or through like jobs or just like in day-to-day life?
Yes, yes. Like one of the things that I would like to mention is that I Lincoln is a good place for family. Like I feel safe for my family to live in. It's not like perfect, but it's a good place to raise family, to raise children. It's a good place. School systems are good. Now it depends on like who you are talking to, of immigrants or yes, refugees. So if you are talking about refugees, if you are talking about adults, it may be different, because it depends. Some of them they look aggressive when they talk to, like you talk to an Iraqi guy, for example, or a Kurdish, and he looks aggressive. He talks loud, but that doesn't mean he's aggressive, because that's the way that people talk in that culture. I remember like many times when I was a translator and I was talking in Arabic or in Kurdish with another linguist, and then he may talk loud, and then an American soldier who's a friend of us would come and say, "Why you guys are arguing?" I would say, "No, we are just talking." So he would think we are like we have arguments. There's something that we do not agree with because we talk loud, but that doesn't mean. So sometimes when in our culture they do some they have some attitudes, we would think that they're offensive or they're aggressive, but that's how they are. And one thing that I have noticed through my job as a translator since 2003, there's cultural differences that we should be aware of. Like, for example, when I first met soldiers, American soldiers, they were asking about, why Iraqi men are gays. And I would say, why you think so? Why you think they're gays? He said, because they shake hand with each other and they hug each other. And then they walk like we would see two guys holding each other's hand and walk. So in the American culture, that's considered gays. But in Iraqi culture, that doesn't mean they're gays. They're just friends, because how it is. And then why are men out and women stay home? That's how it is. Women would go out, but they would go out with their families, with their family members, with fathers, brothers, but not by themselves, because that's how the culture is. And then the most horrible things that they were thinking of when they were in Iraq, and we were training Iraqi soldiers and Iraqi policemen, and one of the Iraqi policemen would come to us and say, tomorrow I have a wedding. I'm going to get married. I would like you guys to come to my wedding. And would ask, who you are going to get married? Is it your girlfriend? He would say, no, I'm going to get married with my cousin, my uncle's daughter. So the Americans would look at each other, what? You guys are getting married with your sisters? Because cousin is considered as a second sister. And I would say that's, I couldn't understand the beginning, because I was saying why the Americans think that way. But when I came here, I understood that Americans it's not common for someone to marry his cousin, but in the Iraqi culture, that's very common. So if you see someone who tell you, my dad and mom are cousins, or I'm married to my cousin, don't be surprised. It's something common in that culture. There's a lot of cultural differences, but that doesn't mean they are bad or good. That's how they are.
Gotcha. Thank you I think that is kind of all the time we have, but thank you so much for answering my questions, and thank you so much for speaking with our class today. I really very much appreciate it.
Yes, and please do not forget, I forgot to ask, I would like to hear from feedback what they would like to read about in the future. So I wrote this book, but I would like to, what our American people are interested to read about from my perspective about Iraq, and working as a translator for United States Army, and working also during the battles of against ISIS. I'll be very grateful. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.